What if a single executive order could unravel thousands of Filipino-American lives in an instant? Imagine Rose, a nurse in Los Angeles who sends home remittances every month, suddenly fearing deportation. That's the reality under Donald Trump's new plan. A sweeping enforcement blitz he's called the single largest mass deportation program in history, targeting major U.S. cities, including Los Angeles and Chicago. With 11 million undocumented immigrants, and an estimated 350,000 of them Filipino, this crackdown isn't just politics, it's personal. Federal agents are preparing to flood sanctuary cities, and activists warn that the ground is already shifting. As debates rage over immigration, homes, jobs, remittances, and family ties hang in the balance. In this video, we dive deep into the heart of the Filipino-American story, from its century-long legacy to the new threats on family visas, work permits, and everyday survival. By the end, you'll understand how this isn't just a policy change, it's a potential turning point for communities on both sides of the Pacific. Stay with us till the end. You won't want to miss the truths we uncover. Number 1. A century of Filipino migration. Filipino migration to the United States has roots deeper than most people realize. As early as the 1900s, Filipinos, then U.S. nationals, were already working in Hawaii's sugarcane fields and California's farms. After World War II, they came as students, medical workers, teachers, and military recruits. Today, roughly 4.6 million people in the U.S. identify as Filipino, with around 2 million being Philippine-born immigrants. This community ranks as the third largest Asian American group after Indian and Chinese Americans. Filipino Americans are integral to both nations. They serve in the U.S. Navy, staff American hospitals, and run family businesses, all while sending billions in remittances to loved ones back home. Every number tells a story: a daughter funding her brother's tuition, a father saving for a house in Cavite. Behind the data is a network of lives shaped by migration and hope. Number 2. Trump's hardline immigration legacy. Donald Trump's immigration stance is not new, but in 2025, it's sharper. In 2016, he made headlines promising walls and mass deportations. In office, he tightened asylum rules and expanded ICE operations. Now his comeback includes what he calls the largest mass deportation plan in U.S. history, targeting millions of undocumented immigrants. In mid-2025, Trump directed enforcement efforts toward Democratic cities, labeling them power centers of illegal immigration. His policy memos floated ideas like ending birthright citizenship, suspending asylum, and deploying the military at the border. Critics call it unprecedented, warning that even legal immigrants could be affected. For Filipinos in the U.S., the anxiety is real. From nurses on H-1B visas to green card holders with minor infractions, Trump's policy revival sends a chilling message: no one is fully safe. Number 3. Family reunification at risk. For many Filipinos, America represents not just opportunity but reunion. The U.S. immigration system allows citizens to sponsor relatives under family-based visa categories. The Philippines consistently ranks among the top countries with the longest wait times. For example, Filipino siblings can wait over 20 years under the F4 visa category. Trump's proposals could worsen these delays. In his earlier administration, he proposed shifting the system from family reunification to a merit-based model. In 2025, similar rhetoric has returned. Policy experts warn that these changes could restrict or even freeze certain family visas. Filipino families waiting for reunification could face indefinite delays or denials. Number 4. Skilled work visas, H-1B, and healthcare. Filipinos are vital to America's workforce, especially in healthcare. The U.S. has long relied on Filipino nurses, many of whom enter under work visas like the H-1B. As of 2023, Filipinos made up a large percentage of foreign nurses in the country. Trump's return could tighten rules for employment-based immigration. In his first term, he increased wage requirements for H-1B holders and heightened scrutiny during visa renewals. Recent policy signals suggest a renewed push to protect American jobs by limiting foreign hires. That could directly hit sectors like nursing and caregiving, industries where demand far exceeds local supply. For Filipino workers, this creates uncertainty. A change in visa policy could mean job losses, delayed applications, or revoked sponsorships. It could also disrupt remittances, a financial lifeline for families in the Philippines. Number 5. Legal residents and green card holders. Even lawful permanent residents aren't immune from uncertainty. In recent months, Filipino diplomats have publicly warned that Trump's enforcement plans could impact anyone without full citizenship. During a late 2024 town hall, the Philippine ambassador reminded green card holders that U.S. immigration law allows their status to be revoked for a range of reasons, saying, "It's a privilege, not a right." Filipinos with green cards have been advised to ensure all documents are in order, avoid extended stays outside the U.S., and steer clear of any legal trouble. A formal advisory even urged migrants to stay low-key and maintain full compliance to avoid drawing attention. This has sent a wave of anxiety through the community, especially among longtime residents who've lived in America for decades, but fear being caught in an enforcement dragnet. Take the case of a Filipina lab technician in California. Though she had lived legally in the U.S. for more than 15 years, she was briefly detained during an ICE workplace inspection in early 2024. Her case ended with release, but it sent shockwaves through her neighborhood. For many Filipinos with green cards, the message is chillingly clear. No one is entirely safe under a renewed crackdown. Number 6. Lives in limbo. Undocumented Filipinos. Among the 11 million undocumented immigrants in the U.S., an estimated 350,000 are Filipinos. Many of them are caregivers, service workers, or domestic helpers who overstayed their visas years ago. They live quiet, hard-working lives, raising families, paying taxes, and contributing to society, but now face the daily fear of arrest or deportation. One striking case was that of Michelle, a Filipino mother of 3 detained by ICE while returning from a family trip to the Philippines. Despite holding legal documents, she was held in detention for weeks. She later described the conditions as inhumane, with detainees denied basic medical care and forced to sleep in overcrowded rooms. Her release came only after public pressure and consular intervention. This isn't an isolated story. Community groups report that undocumented Filipinos are avoiding hospitals, skipping work, and refusing to report crimes out of fear. As ICE raids intensify, a generation of migrants who once dreamed of the American promise now live in constant limbo, caught between legal gray areas and the threat of separation. Number 7. Overseas Filipino workers, OFWs, and the remittance lifeline. Remittances are the backbone of millions of Filipino families. In 2024 alone, OFWs sent home $38.34 billion, with nearly 41% of that coming from the United States. That money funds school fees, hospital bills, and even small family-run businesses back home. From New York nurses to California caregivers, every paycheck fuels dreams across the Pacific. Trump's policies threaten this flow. If fewer Filipinos are able to work in the U.S., or if legal hurdles slow down hiring, that stream of income could shrink dramatically. For a country where 8.3% of GDP relies on overseas money, even a small dip would have ripple effects, from school dropouts to rising debt among rural families. Filipino economists warn that restrictions on migrant labor will not only affect the workers, but also the broader Philippine economy. As one financial analyst put it, if America turns off the tap, millions at home feel the drought. OFW networks are now scrambling to prepare for alternative destinations. But the U.S. has long been the gold standard for opportunity. Number 8. Diplomatic tensions and bilateral fallout. While official U.S.-Philippine relations remain cordial, the immigration issue has quietly introduced friction. Philippine Ambassador Jose Manuel Romualdez has affirmed that the countries remain steadfast partners. But behind closed doors, Filipino officials are lobbying for fair treatment of their nationals facing deportation. The Philippine consulate has already requested that deported citizens be sent home directly, not to third countries. Meanwhile, migrant support groups in the U.S. have accused both governments of not doing enough, pointing out that consular aid remains limited and overwhelmed. Trade and defense ties may remain unaffected on paper, but the human side tells a different story. Filipino-American communities are organizing protests, filing petitions, and demanding action. As one activist said during a recent rally, alliances mean nothing if families are torn apart quietly in detention centers. The diplomatic language may be calm, but the ground beneath it is anything but stable. Number 9. Economic and social shockwaves. If thousands of Filipinos are forced to leave the U.S., the shock won't be limited to homes and families. It'll hit hospitals, tech firms, and small businesses too. Filipino professionals are deeply embedded in America's care infrastructure. Losing them means losing essential skills overnight. Back in the Philippines, the consequences may be even greater. Fewer remittances mean less domestic spending, and that affects everything from grocery sales to tuition payments. Since 70% of the Philippine economy is consumer-driven, any sudden cut in overseas income could stall growth or widen inequality. Socially, fear is spreading. Churches and community centers have started holding legal aid clinics instead of family dinners. Parents in Manila are reconsidering sending their kids to study in the U.S. In small ways, and big ones, both countries feel the tremors. It's not just policy anymore, it's a quiet erosion of lives built on global ties. Number 10. A future hanging in the balance. What lies ahead for Filipino migrants in the U.S.? One thing is clear, the days of feeling safe in legal limbo are over. From long-time green card holders to undocumented workers, everyone's asking the same question. What now? But amid the fear, there's also resilience. Community groups, lawyers, and religious leaders are stepping up. Families are preparing emergency plans. And Filipinos, who have always faced uncertainty with quiet strength, are adapting once again. This isn't the end, said one elder in Daly City. It's another test, and we've passed many before. For every policy written in Washington, there's a ripple felt in Manila, Cebu, or Davao. The Filipino-American dream might be challenged, but it's not erased. It's evolving, reshaping itself in the face of adversity. And as always, it continues. One family, one story at a time. The story of Filipino migration to the United States isn't just a chapter in immigration policy. It's a living, breathing narrative that stretches across oceans and generations. From the barrios of Quezon to the hospitals of New Jersey, every law that shifts in Washington sends shockwaves through real families, real jobs, and real futures. What we're witnessing now isn't just political rhetoric. It's a systemic shift. A grandfather in Bulacan waiting for his green card renewal. A nurse in Houston whose work visa is under review. A student in Manila wondering if her American dream will ever take flight. These aren't headlines. They are lives suspended in uncertainty. But here's the truth. Behind every policy is a voice. Behind every number is a name. And behind every setback is a story of resilience. The Filipino spirit has always found a way to rise, even in the face of the harshest odds. Whether in immigration lines or protest rallies, the strength of this global community lies in its ability to adapt, unite, and endure. So, as we move forward, ask yourself, will we turn away, or will we listen, speak, and act? This moment isn't just about borders, it's about belonging. And how we respond, individually and collectively, will shape the next chapter in this story. If this documentary moved you, like, comment, and share it with someone who needs to see the human side of this immigration battle. Subscribe to our channel for more deeply reported, untold stories that matter. And most importantly, keep the conversation going. The more we understand, the harder it is to ignore. Thank you for watching. Stay informed, stay connected, and remember, behind every quiet change is a louder truth, if we're willing to hear it.